Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 138 is out, and once again, we got another good chapter. Obviously a Tayori and Nazien's focus chapter, but this chapter not only gave us some more characters to be fully introduced to, but we also get potentially some more insight into how things have been between humans and the fairies, as well as a bit of Nazien's when he was found by Ordo. But I'll get into that when that section comes in. Not only that, but we finally get to see the last remaining members of the Seven Deadly Sins fully in this chapter. So we'll get into that in just a second. But before everything, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Been really enjoying this stuff, and I cannot wait to fully get into it. Now that said and done, let's get right into the chapter. Chapter 138 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled Naziens in the Fairy King's Forest. And we got a nice, honestly really well done 2-page color spread of Naziens, Percival with the long hair in his head, and we also get to fully see all of King of DIANE's kids in this image with their full color scheme. And I'm liking a lot of their designs, and we'll get to see them more in this chapter in particular. Either way, really beautiful color page, and I cannot wait to see more. We start things off with Nazien and Tayori going into the Cavern of Whispers, with Tayori asking Naziens why they call it that, if he knows. He said it's probably because the way the branches are and the wind, it comes off like somebody's whispering. Tayori says her dad told her a long time ago, but she forgot, and she even wonders herself why that is. Now, she either actually forgot and is just playing at ditz, or perhaps she's just lying or something. Doesn't seem like something that she would do, but we just gotta wait and see. Naziens falls to the ground comedically, but then catches himself back up as they walk towards the center of the cavern. As Naziens goes over and says, "Well, I'm back. I hope that you're feeling well," as we get to see Percival fully with a huge mane of hair that legitimately covers his entire body. Tayori goes on to say that no matter how much Naziens talks to Percival, there's no sign of him talking back, but his hair just keeps growing and growing, and even asks if they should cut it. And Tayori ends up asking Naziens that if they should just go play somewhere else. Oh, like Mushroom Mountain. Naziens look up as she's just lackadaisically flying in the air, just, whistling about like she said nothing. Nazien says if she's bored, she can go in somewhere else to do whatever she wants. But Tayori just flies off and just says, "Bored? Oh, never." Anyway, Naziens gets another piece of medicine ready, and he taste tests it first, and then he bites his lip, gushing blood, like he tends to do when he gets excited. So that character quirk and that bad habit has not gone away. I'm actually kind of glad. Tayori reacts to this as she just laughs hysterically, as she just loves all of Naziens' reactions to all of his different medicines, and that it is hysterical to her. So yeah, I honestly kind of like this little bit that she hangs out with Naziens because she likes the guy, but also because legitimately he's a funny guy whenever he just goes over the top when he tries out new medicine. Naziens tries to give the medicine to Percival, but there's still no reaction, and he doesn't even wake up from it as well, as he has most likely been trying to do this for the last 2 years, finding different ways of medicine to try and finally wake Percival back up. Tayori looks solemnly at Naziens and says, "I have to say, that kid's being pretty selfish, isn't he? You and your friends care so much for him, and he just ditches all of you and vanishes." And apparently Tristan said the exact same thing, and he was very angry when Percival essentially died. Tayori gets kind of getting me, he's like, "Oh, treat. It's actually funny that she gives Tristan a nickname. They are childhood best friends after all. And she says, I guess we really do think alike, don't we?" But Naziens goes on to correct her and says he doesn't think he's selfish, and that it's their fault for being so powerless. Percival was afraid that his presence would only drag them into more and more danger, and so he made his choice this way. And that Percival has the ability to sense other people's pain and feel like it belongs to him. He really is such a kind-hearted person. And yeah, that is essentially what was going through Percival's mind. He was afraid to drag everybody into this whole quest and get them all hurt and eventually killed because of him, and he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders and didn't want anybody to get hurt because of him. Tayori smiles at Naziens, places her hand on his shoulder, and laughs, as she just says, "Boy, Naziens, you must really love Percival, huh?" As she just smacks him and is like, "Don't be so embarrassed." This is actually, legitimately, I think they have a really nice friendship going right now. This is kind of adorable. And I just like how Naziens isn't like overly blushing and getting embarrassed like he did previously about Percival. I think it shows that he's maturing a bit, and also still got the feelings for the guy. Still kind of cute. We then leave the cave as Tayori says that she will come and do herb hunting with him whenever he wants, but he ends up saying that right now he has to pay a visit to the Fairy King. As we then cut to a giant flower, as we then take an aerial view at the top with multiple people on top, with Naziens kneeling down with Tayori behind him, and says, "I have arrived, my lord. May I offer my assistance in some way?" Fairy King and Giant Queen as well, as we get a nice page showcasing King and DIANE sitting on their thrones with all of their kids present, all 7 of them. And based off of what we see, 3 of them are giants and 4 of them are fairies. And based off of this image, I believe two of them are boys and 5 of them are girls. I can't tell what the fairy that's in the hood, even with the color page. It could be one or the other, and I could be proven wrong. Right now, I'm just going with that for now, but it's very possible that it's just 5 girls and 2 boys that they've had. But yeah, we finally get to see King and DIANE after all this time, and all of their kids, and we now see them in their throne room. King goes on to say that there's no need for such formalities, and I've heard that you've completed a new medicine. How have things gone? Nazian says that it hasn't gone well this time either, and that he's afraid he hasn't connected it to actual results yet, saying that they've kindly kept Percival safe all these years and allowed him to stay here as well. But DIANE cups him off and says, if it's our captain asking, we'll do anything we can to help. So don't worry about it, take all the time you need for your research, okay? As Nazian is just being like, I am greatly honored, your majesties. As I just love this one instance where Tiore, King of DIANE, just blankly stare at King, just says, you're being way too stuffy, stop it. As all of their kids basically end up laughing at the hilarity of the situation. I kind of like how, despite them literally being the rulers of this place, they're not acting like literal king and queen right now, or royalty. They're just, stop being so formal. We're basically friends at this point. There's no need for all this crap. And I kind of like how literally King DIANE and Tiore were just on the exact same page in that instance. And it's just seeing all the kids just laughing like that is honestly kind of funny. King DIANE end up laughing and say that he should just call them King in the end, no need for all the formalities and titles, but Nazian says he really can't. But then he notices King of DIANE kind of looking kind of solemnly and seriously at him. He wonders what's wrong, but King just says, never mind. How are things going health-wise for you? So, it's very possible that something might be up with Nazian that even he might not be aware of, or maybe he's just not telling anybody. But he says that he's pretty good, and apparently he sleeps pretty fine throughout the night, and it's very possible that the fresh air in the Fairy King's forest has essentially given him much better health. And based off the few panels, the kids seemingly are confused by King and DIANE's question. But as Nazians ask why they ask, King says that they're their honored guest. But then seemingly their oldest son, Myrtle, ends up saying that they don't have to be that friendly with him, and that they're being a bit too unguarded around Nazian. King tells him to stop, and DIANE just freaking pouts and says don't talk to him that way, as he just stares right at Nazian and just basically gives us a brief flashback on how, well, the humans have kind of given giants a very strife throughout the years, and even King and DIANE have lost their best friends in the process, showcasing Helbram, obviously, and Matrona, which, interestingly enough, this is an image of Matrona when DIANE thought she was dead. She's alive at the end of Seven Deadly Sins. I got no clue if she actually did end up dying in between. I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but based off the design they show, I don't think that's the case. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. King says, yeah, we do have this kind of dark and troubled history, but Nazian's isn't like that. But it is then that the conversation then gets urgently interrupted by a bunch of fairies coming in and saying that they found a changeling, and that it was just lying on the outside of their border, as this shocks King and DIANE and all the kids, as apparently that this hasn't happened in ages. Nazian doesn't know what's going on, but Myrtle says how dare they, as he runs out of the room, and as everyone goes to where this changeling thing is, Tiore ends up giving Nazian an explanation of what a changeling essentially is, and apparently it's like a substitute child. It's when a fairy plays a trick and swaps out a human baby for a fairy one. And Nazian then stops and looks over as the little, I forgot what those little troll-like creatures are on the ground are, but Nazian picks up a baby and asks where it was brought from. As Tiore looks at Nazian, as Nazian holding the baby says, this child, it's me back in the day. Now, it's very possible, we all know Nazian's backstory is that he was found in Echo Gorge by Ordo somewhere in the area. Now, we don't know who his parents are, so it's very possible that this was a prank from some fairies in the area that swapped out a fairy baby for a human one, and Nazian's was the human one and was brought to Echo Gorge by some person playing a trick. Or it could be the other way around. We have no real clue, but this might be just how Nazian sees himself, as he was a human baby that was left somewhere else. Now, Nakaba has stated in an interview or in a data book, I forgot where this was, that apparently Nazian's is a human with a question mark. So it's very possible this arc will give us a bit more insight into Nazian's as a whole. Maybe he actually is a fairy, and we have no real clue. But it's interesting to think about, as this could potentially change Nazian's at the moment. But all of a sudden, someone is asking for help, as we see Myrtle holding up a little creature by the head, stating that my father ordered you miscreants to stop these malicious pranks, didn't he? He told you not to wreck the relationships we have with the humans, and now look what you've done. I gotta take your head right now. So even though he does not really like the humans, he very holds in high regard his father's whole like good relationship and standing they have with the humans, so they don't cause any trouble for one another. So obviously does show that he isn't completely one-sided with all this. At least that's what I'm getting from it. Nazians tells Myrtle to hold on for a bit, and that's not going to solve anything. Myrtle asks Nazians, I don't need outsiders like you butting in. This is fairy business. But Nazian says, I'm afraid that I can't keep quiet about this. As Tiori is like wondering, look at those two. What'll I do? And she just gets incredibly excited, thinking that this is just going to be so much fun to watch. Okay, I have come to the decision that Tiori is now my favorite character outside of Lancelot and Gawain at this point. Belgarde's still number 3, but Tiori is inching up there, and she's right next to Tristan for me. She is probably just going to be a bundle of chaos, just causing mischief, or just enjoying mischief and just complications all around, and I'm kind of here for it. It seems like a lot of fun. But yeah, that was essentially the chapter. Another good one, and I honestly cannot wait to see more of what's going on in the Fairy King's Forest, what Nazian's going to do about this whole situation. They're going to have to return the kid. What'll this do with the relationship with the humans in the area? I've got no real clue. But I am very curious to find out. Not to mention this could potentially mean that Nazianz was actually a fairy this entire time, just didn't know it. Or maybe he was just a victim of this whole changeling prank thing by some ruffian fairies that were just wanting to play pranks on humans. I also like that in this chapter we got to see King and DIANE, as well as all of their kids. Unfortunately, we don't have all their names, unless Nakabas gives a statement giving us all of their names after this chapter came out, but I'm not entirely sure. And it's also another thing off of our bingo card where we meet King and DIANE. Unfortunately, for some reason, my editing software is not letting me put up the finished bingo board. I'll probably give an update and post it somewhere on my community tab or on my Twitter. But either way, we got to meet all their kids, and we got to meet King and DIANE. That's 2 things off our bingo board, and I am so happy, and I cannot wait to see what else we see with the rest of this time skip. Whatever happens for the rest of the year, and how this arc will continue on. I feel like we're going to be doing a bit more building with characters and the world post-time skip until we eventually get to see what's up with the 4 Knights, and I'm kind of loving it right now. But what do you guys think? Tell me in the comment section down below, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I'm making on this channel, and you want to see more. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day. Tiori is really coming in close with taking the best scroll spot for man at this point, I swear.